watching NotesIn9.
Hello, and welcome to NotesIn9. I'm David Leedy. Episode 99, Domino Designer 9, Social Edition Beta. Onward and upward. Okay, we made it. This is the big one. This is going to conclude the event, the NotesIn9 Drive to 99 event that I started back at the end of August. And what is the event? It had a very simple goal. Was I wanted to try and I wanted to get to 99 before the end of the year. So I looked at it, and that would take 28 shows to do it. And I was going to run from September 9th to December 9th, which is about 90 days. And I started a couple days early because I was excited, and I ended a couple days late because I got tied up with other things. But I consider this an achieved goal. And I couldn't have done this myself without all the contributors. And they really stepped up their game. I was very touched, and I'm very appreciative of everyone donating their time for this little event, for my little show, and in getting such great content out back to the community. I do want to specifically mention 8 new contributors that I got. Nicholas Heidloff, Paul Calhoun, Dan O'Connor, Michael Stewart, Russ Mayer, Sidara Bechamez, Sean Cull, and Mark Lusink are all brand new to the show, and I hope they come back for more. 3 of the contributors are from IBM, my first IBM contributors. I'm still waiting for my first pure XPage team contributors, but I'll start bugging them next year about that. And we added 10 hours, over 10 hours of new content to NotesIn9. Most of it was XPages content, but not all of it. We had our first pure admin show, really, on how to set up a Domino developer sandbox on Linux that Sean Cull did, which was kind of nice to do that, and I was very happy to have that show out. And they all did such a great job. Now there was one person I did want to highlight. When I started this, I wanted to have some kind of contest going to get some peer pressure going, and that never materialized. But I always did want to have a most valuable contributor award. And the one person did just rise above. They all did a great job, but one person did rise above a little bit, and that was Paul Calhoun. And Paul Calhoun did a fantastic job. He actually donated one more show than I could use because I ran out of numbers. So you'll see that show later on. And what he would DM me now and then, say, how's it going? Are you going to make it? Do you have enough shows? I'll do more. I've got your back. And he was just all over this. He took it personally. And I was really touched, and I was really appreciative for that and his effort. And that really kind of kept me going when I had a couple low moments here and there over the course of the last couple months and stuff like that. And I did want to say thank you to Paul very much for that. And a small token will be mailed to him momentarily. So, okay, I want to get into the meat of the show as quickly as I can, but this is the slide of the resources that I provide to the community through my NotesIn9 website, the index, and the cheat sheets. There's community resources out there, so if you're new to XPages and you're seeing this show, XPages.info is the homepage for all things. OpenNTF has sample code and source and full apps and stuff like that, etc. And you can ask questions and everything else. Okay, so let's get on to the main of the show, the reason why we're here. And I'm bringing back Dan O'Connor, and I'm extremely excited about that because Dan is the Domino Designer team leader. So he's all over Designer, obviously. He's the person in charge. He's an author of a co-author of a book, and he is co-author of a cheat sheet. And this is his contact information. And he's going to talk about Domino Designer 9. Now, this Domino Designer 9 has a public beta that opens December 14th. So you can still register, and you can still get that and bring it down, and I guess just Google for that. I didn't have a link for the show. But you can download the server, and you can just start playing with it, and I know that's what I'm going to be doing December 14th. So Dan is going to come on, and he's going to show the beta. I believe this is really the first time for the beta that's going to be shown rather than a late build, and he's really going to show that Server Side JavaScript Debugger and some of the other new things that have gone into the product. And I'm just excited, and I think it's very nice to end the Drive to 99 with Domino Designer 9. So with that being said, let's go to the demo.
Hello, my name is Dan O'Connor, and today I'm just going to give a short presentation on some of the new features that are available in Domino Designer 9, the Social Edition Beta. So my name's Dan O'Connor. I'm the team lead for Domino Designer based out of Littleton, Massachusetts. Some of you may know me from speaking at Lotusphere, and I also co-authored a book called the XPages Portable Command Guide with my colleagues on the XPages team, and I've also contributed some artifacts to OpenNTF. And if you wish to get in contact with me, my contact details are here. So just before we get going, this is the standard disclaimer from IBM, just stating that much of the content that's going to be in today's presentation, in today's video, is going to be related to a future release. Obviously we hope that this content will all be included in the future release, but there is no guarantee of that, so we would just advise you to plan accordingly. So what are we going to go over? Today's video is basically just to give you a quick intro to some of the new features that are available in Domino Designer 9.0, the Social Edition Beta. I'll go over the integration of Upgrade Pack 1, the 853 Upgrade Pack 1, some of our usability improvements, our new homepage, and of course the new Server Side JavaScript Debugger. So before getting going, it's probably worth going over some of the goals that we had and still have for the Domino Designer Social Edition. We started development probably, I would say, at the start of 2012. As most of you probably know, Domino Designer 853 shipped in September of 2011, and between September and the new year of 2012 we spent much of our time working on the integration, or on the creation of Upgrade Pack 1 for 853, which was basically the integration, the tooling for the extension library controls that have been added to Domino Designer. Of course, we had a goal of creating a new server-side JavaScript debugger. We've gotten a lot of feedback from customers, from partners, stating that as they start adopting XPages, they find a great need for having a server-side JavaScript debugger, so that has now been included. We've also greatly improved the welcome experience, the homepage experience in Domino Designer. So in the Notes client, you will see in the Social Edition Beta that there's a new Discover page, which is basically a new homepage for the Notes client. And we took advantage of this to also take the time to create a new homepage for Domino Designer. So we have a vastly improved homepage for Domino Designer, which integrates some of the content that used to be on the old welcome page, along with some of the functionality that was in the old homepage. The welcome page has been gotten rid of. We've been able to get rid of that and integrate basically all of the content that was in there into our new homepage. We've also improved XPages developer productivity by adding new features such as Content Assist. We have a new jar design element, which is to complement the Java design element, which was released in 853. So the jar design element can be used from within your XPages. And then we've also integrated one of the lesser known features of the upgrade pack, which was the XSP properties editor. So many of you may not know that in Upgrade Pack 1 for 853 there is a new XSP.properties editor, but this editor can only be gotten at by directly editing XSP.properties. It's not available directly within the Designer Navigator. So in the Social Edition we've promoted this editor to be front and center within the Navigator. And we also have several bug fixes in high traffic areas such as the LotusScript editor. So we've received a lot of feedback over time that people are still obviously using the LotusScript editor, and we've made major efforts to improve the quality there. So one of the features that will probably be most sought after is the Domino Designer Server-Side JavaScript Debugger. So this can be invoked from within your Domino Designer perspective. There's a new toolbar and corresponding menu item. You can set your breakpoints directly within the server-side JavaScript code within an XPage or within a script library. And then we've also added a new breakpoint keyword so that we can serialize keywords basically into your scripts, and the keyword will only be hit if the server is running in debug mode and there's also a designer client listening in debug mode. But of course, if you don't want to use the debug keyword, you can just use breakpoints just as you would normally within the editors in Domino Designer. In order for this to actually run, you need to have a Social Edition server. First of all, you need to have the latest server, and the server must be configured to run in debug mode. So that means that some ini settings have to be set within the server basically to start the JVM in debug mode. And of course, we strongly recommend that you not enable debug mode on servers that have unprotected access to the internet. So if a server is behind a firewall, that's not too bad, but definitely for those that have unprotected access to the internet, we strongly recommend that you don't enable debugging here, because what is happening here is that we're enabling a port to be attached to for debugging purposes. So obviously if this is on the internet, anyone could connect to that port. But behind the firewall is going to be quite safe. So this screenshot just gives you an idea of what the JavaScript server-side JavaScript debugger looks like. We have a new, we're using the existing debug perspective from Eclipse. So we have our debug view, which shows the stack, the server stack, the call stack that led to the point in time where the breakpoint is set. The left-hand side here in the middle of the screen, we have our XPages editor open with some breakpoints set within the XPages editor, and then on the right hand side we have our variables view, which shows the values of all of the variables that are relevant to the current context. Like I said, we have vastly improved our homepage experience, so we've created a brand new homepage which is very similar in look and feel to the Notes Discover page. And the new homepage provides several tabs. The first tab is a tab called Quick Links, which allows you to perform some very common tasks such as opening applications, creating applications, managing your working sets. All of that can be managed from within the Quick Links tab. And then we have various other tabs that provide various levels of information for users to get up and running with Designer, or to and also links to some reference material. And then at the bottom of the page we also have a quick tip which is picked at random from approximately 40 to 50 tips. So every time the editor opens, a new tip is displayed, which displays some information about Domino Designer. We continue to make productivity improvements for our XPages developers. We've added Content Assist, and that Content Assist also works both within the XPages source mode and also within the server-side JavaScript within your XPages source mode. We have hyperlink navigation, so those of you familiar with Eclipse will be familiar with hyperlink navigation. This is the ability to navigate to various resources basically by pressing the control key and hovering over a particular piece of text. That text becomes enabled as a hyperlink, and clicking on it will navigate to the particular resource. We've also enabled hover help within the XPages source mode, XPages editor source mode, so when you hover over a tag or an attribute, you will get some information about that. We have palette state saving, which means when you switch from one XPage to the next, the palette will remember its state from the previous page. Like I mentioned already, we have a new jar design element. We also have a new menu option that allows you to close an application within the navigator. So some users have been reporting back that they have, for instance, database scripts that have particular code within the onDBOpen event, and need to close the application in Notes and in Designer before that event will be fired. So now there's an ability to close the application within Domino Designer. And then the final thing that I've got here is that our navigator now shows all of your working sets as opposed to the 5 most recent. So as users are using working sets more and more to organize their applications, we've also added this feature. And then the final thing, which is not on here but is also a major improvement, is there's a new option to just show the working sets that are not in, show the applications that are not in a working set. So that was also heavily requested from users. We continue to improve the quality. So we have, shortly after 8.5.3 was released, it was discovered that there was an error occurring due to the Java design element, which produced an error 500 on your web page when you tried to preview it in a browser. This has been fixed in 8.5.3 Fix Pack 1 and also in the Social Edition. Source control was a brand new feature and a very extensive and complex feature, I guess, which was added in 8.5.3. So naturally there was going to be some bugs in that code, and many of those issues have been fixed in 8.5.3 Fix Pack 2, and those fixes have also been rolled into the Social Edition. And then also we've added fixes to the tooling, which, the tooling that accompanied Upgrade Pack 1. Some issues were reported around that. They weren't, I wouldn't say they were critical issues, but they were still bugs, and those bugs have been fixed in the Social Edition. We've made some major improvements in the area of memory management in relation to the XPages editor. And then we've also continued to fix the Lotus script editor as issues are being reported against that. One of the more common issues that's reported is the problems view in the past did not state the same line number as where the error was actually occurring within when you viewed it in the Lotus script editor. So that issue has been fixed along with many others in the Social Edition. And then there's one important note here at the end, and that is we recently released a tech note which specified how to modify the designer JVM settings. We've gotten feedback from several partners and users that when these settings are modified, when the memory requirements are increased a little, significantly for designer, then designer performs much better. There's fewer hangs and fewer crashes, so I would strongly recommend going to this URL just to check out the new memory settings. These settings can be applied to 8.5, any release since 8.5 basically. So now I'm just going to give a quick demo of these features. So I'm going to go to designer. This is how designer would look today if you brought it up with the Social Edition. I'm just going to maximize the home page here as it doesn't render very well at a low resolution. So our first tab is this Quick Links tab, and it shows all of your working sets. It shows more than the 5 most recent. It shows all of them. I think I have 6 or 7 working sets here. It also provides some common tasks such as creating a new application, open existing application, manage your working sets. So clicking any of these links will bring up the relevant UI to perform the operation. And then we also have several links here within the home page within the Quick Links tab. And then at the bottom here we have our tip of the day, I guess you could call it. Basically a tip about Domino Designer or about XPages development. And then of course here we have our applications not in a working set item. That item is also available, and then of course you can choose to disable working sets. If I go up here to my other tabs, you can see there's a whole hierarchy of tabs here with all kinds of various information from beginner to intermediate to advanced about all of the various functions of Domino Designer and of application development within Domino. And then we have a What's New tab, which, as the name suggests, tells you what's new with this particular release, gives a highlight of some of the new features that are available. And then our Learn More tab is for basically reference material, and it has links to the designer help system, and also has links to external websites such as OpenNTF and various wikis and blogs and various community resources. So just going back here to our Quick Links tab, I'm just going to quickly create a new working set here just to show demo, and I'll add this code problem demo 2. And when I create this application now, or this working set now, you can see that it's added to my list of working sets here. If I was just to resize this home page, if I was to enable any of these, I can see that the navigator is getting updated here to show the applications that are within the working set. And then of course I have my applications not in a working set, so Run on Server is one of them. So if I edit here, so now my working set has Run on Server, and when I switch I can see that applications not in a working set is no longer available as an option, as there are no applications not in a working set. So I'm just going to manage my application again and remove that, and we'll see our home page is updated again to show the applications not in a working set item. Moving over to my navigator here, I have, like I said, our new menu item showing all of our working sets. So now we can see we have 8 working sets. They're all being shown here, and the 5 most recently used working sets are being showed in the root menu item. And then of course we still have our applications not in a working set item here as well. So I'm just going to enable my NotesIn9 working set. So now we can see that we are filtered down here. I just want to show some of the features of Domino Designer, some of the XPages improvements. Of course, if I right click here, another thing here, I guess it's a good time to show it, is we also have these pretty new icons for all of the applications, also making use of a feature that was introduced in 8.5.3, whereby we have the ability to use PNGs as our application icon, or JPEGs or GIFs. And I can also right click and close the application, so now you can see that the application has been closed. Moving along to my XPages application, I open up an XPage, and this is a typical experience. You'd open up your XPage and you just get a visualization. You're not really sure what's on this page. You go to source mode, and then you you probably have less of an idea now, because there's this just basically one tag on this page, and it's actually custom control. So what I would have done in the past is go to the navigator to open up this layout control, but now instead I can, using hyperlink navigation, just hover over it, click on it, and it opens. The same is true for all of these resources here. They're all can be navigated to using hyperlink navigation. Just to demo that again, so here's a client-side JavaScript library, server-side JavaScript library. So all of these resources can be linked to via hyperlink navigation. Just by pressing the control key and hovering over the particular item, we can actually navigate to it. So another item here just popped up there is the pop-up help. We basically have some info help that pops up when you hover over a particular tag, or when you hover over an attribute, you get the help for the tag and the attribute. And this also supports the this dot notation. So if you have a complex attribute, such as in this case we have this dot search bar, we can actually see that the help is also appearing here for the search bar attribute. And then we have content assist. For instance, if I have this keep session alive tag, I'm not too sure of exactly what it does, so I just press Control Space, and now we get all of the various attributes that are available for this tag. And then when I click on a particular attribute, I also get the help for that attribute, some information about the attribute and what it can do. So I'm going to insert the delay attribute. I'm going to type some JavaScript. And now if I press Control Space here, now I'm going to get some server-side JavaScript content assist. So now I'm going to start typing session scope. So I want to create session scope, and I want to put something in here. So you can see I'm getting content assist all along. So that would be my, so I would have my content assist there. So that's pretty much it for the XPages editor enhancements. Obviously there's content assist is available on all of the tags, so regardless of whether it's a tag you're familiar with or not, you can always get content assist. Probably the next thing I'd like to talk about is the XSP properties editor. So now we actually have another item in the navigator here. So if you're a hardcore XPages developer and you need to have quick access to Faces config, it's now possible to add it to the navigator via your preferences. So I can go to my preferences, and I can see that this option, it's disabled by default, except for in the XPages perspective, it's turned on by default, but in all other perspectives this item is turned off by default, but you can always just enable it yourself like I have. And double clicking on it just opens up your Faces config file. So just opening up XSP.properties, we now have the new XSP.properties editor, which gives us a nice UI for all of these various properties that can be set in XSP.properties. Many of these options were available previously in application properties, but we figured it was clearer to put them all in one place that related to XSP properties. And we can see here that we have a new debug option here as well, which has been added to the XPages runtime, that allows us to download the CSS and Dojo script libraries uncompressed from the server. So when you're debugging your XPage within the browser using Firebug or whatever your favorite tool of choice is, now you can actually download the files uncompressed so that you can more easily debug them to see what's going on within your application. And then we have this source tab, which is also very handy. It allows us to it allows the user to edit the source directly, such that in the future, if you install a future version of the extension library and that has a requirement of some XSP.property that must be set in here, you don't have to wait for the UI to catch up. You can just come in here and go straight into source mode and just start typing. So probably the thing that most people would be interested in is, of course, the debugger. So now I'm just going to switch over here. There's this new menu item and a corresponding toolbar item that allows us to debug server-side JavaScript. So by default this list would be empty, but I've already created a configuration here, and I'm just going to show what that dialog looks like. So I'm going to bring up the Manage Configurations dialog, and that brings up this configuration dialog that shows some information about how to start debugging your server-side JavaScript. So the first thing you would need to do is add these options to your notes.ini on your server. So these options are selectable and you can copy and paste. You can also collapse this piece of information, so if you'd want to see it in future, this will remember that it was previously collapsed. And I'm just going to modify this to have an incorrect port number here just to show the behavior. So if I click debug, this dialog box comes up and the information in here is also selectable and can be copied and pasted. So I hit OK, and now I'm going to go back here and enter 8000, which is the port I want to debug on. And now I'm going to hit OK, and now I can see that this message appears telling me that the debug connection has been successfully created. So now I'll switch over to my browser. So I want to start debugging, and I'm in my Lotus Live tab here. And I'm actually going to, the first thing I'll do is just how I'd set some breakpoints. I'll go back to my so in here I'm going to Lotus Live Profiles is the X page I want to debug. So I can see this is actually comprised of custom controls. So I'm going to go in here, use my hyperlink navigation, which is very convenient. I want to set a breakpoint here in my server-side JavaScript, and then I have this server-side JavaScript library. And I'm also going to set a breakpoint in here. And now I can return to my browser and just reload my profiles. And you'll see now Domino Designer comes to the front, tells me to hit a breakpoint. Do I want to switch to the debug perspective, which I do. And now I can see within my debug perspective, I can see all of the various variables that are available to me, and I can step over code or step into it just like you would in a regular debugger. So I can see the various, for instance, this variable here, params, was just defined within my code here. It just shows a map, and that map has format in JSON, so you can see all of that information. And then these are actually Java objects. This is an endpoint object. You can see it's a fully qualified Java class here that's coming to me from the runtime. But I can view all of the information about that class here. So I can see my OAuth provider, all of this information, which is coming to me from the Java runtime. It's now being displayed within my debugger. And then I'm just going to step over this piece of code here, which is going to perform an action within some Java code. And again, my result is another Java object. It's actually a JSON object, so now it's going to step into this parse code, which is what this is here in my script library. So I'm just going to hit play, resume, and now you can see it steps into my script library, and so on. I can step over my code as I need, and my variables view will be updated accordingly. So hopefully we'll have another video later on in the time, maybe nearer or shortly after the beta, going into some of the many functions and the many features that are available within the debugger. This is just a quick teaser, I guess, just to get you up and running, to get you excited about this feature. So it is available in the Social Edition beta, and hopefully we'll have further videos on that at a later date. So that concludes my quick short demo. There's many features that I didn't get time to go into in great depth, so I just want to probably finish out the slides here before handing it back. So the XPages runtime obviously have had many updates as well. I'm not the expert in that area, but just to give you a quick idea, so obviously they've integrated 853 upgrade pack 1 into the runtime. They've made updates to the technologies that are being used under the covers. So now Dojo 1.8 and CK Editor 363 are available. There's a new redirect control. There's a new send mail simple action, which also has embedded experience integration within it. There's several new XPages in the Notes client options which are available to optimize performance for XPages in the Notes client. And then also there's new XPages Xpink client-side JavaScript enhancements, so basically to allow you to take advantage of some of the UI features of Notes from within your client-side JavaScript. And of course there's various bug fixes and lots more. I'm not fully qualified to go into all of the details, but maybe at some point in the future there'll also be a video on some of the new features available in XPages. And then one final shameless plug, and that is of course for what was formerly Lotusphere IBM Connect 2013. You'll get to meet many of the developers on the XPages team and also on the Domino designer team. If you want to see many of the new features and to get first-hand experience with the people who develop those features, now would be a good time to sign up and head to Lotusphere. It's always great fun. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll hand it back to David.
And that's the demo. I thank Dan O'Connor for coming on and giving us that information and giving us really what I think is the first sneak peek at the build or the beta for the Domino Designer 9 rather than just a late build. And I thank all the contributors for helping getting this far. And if you have any questions for me, here's my contact information, and I thank you for your time.